Nation, Gabe,
Nick,
and we are here today to bring you another reaction. That's right, another cricket reaction. And this time, we try to stay up on current event, Nick, you know what I'm saying? And I don't know, jury's still out on baseball. But you know what the jury's not on? The new captain, that's right, of England's squad, one Mr. Ben Stokes' cousin. Ben Stokes currently leading England against New Zealand, you know what I mean, against the Kiwis. And I just love his fiery personality. I think he fits, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like, the former captain, Joe Root, is a way better offensive player, you know what I mean? He puts off numbers. But I don't know, it was like he would fight more with his own players than he would with the opposing force. You just feel like a guy like Ben Stokes is always going to have your back, you know what I mean? Where you didn't always
go to blows if he wants to.
You know what I'm saying? Exactly. I don't know if Joe Root is going to throw down for you, cousin, but we know Stokes will throw down.
He can't wait.
Don't you cross him at no bar, because he'll lay you out. No, what, man? I'll go to war with Stokes. With Root, I'm like, oh, is he gonna jump in here? You ever seen that Jack Reacher where he's like, it's 3 against 1. He's like, it's 5 of us. He's like, oh, once I take out the leader, that's you, I'll have to contend with 1 or 2 more overzealous guys, because the other 2 will just run away. He's like, all right, gentlemen, you wanted this. You know what I mean? And exactly.
That is such a good scene.
He goes, he looks at him, the dude's like, yeah, I'm out. You know what I'm saying? Not to say that would be Joe Root, but I'm just saying, I'm rolling with Ben Stokes as my captain, because he's got my back.
Not just that, but doesn't he call the cops beforehand and talks about there being an assault?
Yeah, I love it, dude. That's a good scene.
That's a great scene. So we're looking at a Patreon request from a new show. Appreciate new show being a Patreon supporter. It means so much. If you want to be a Patreon, look down below to figure out how to make that happen. Get your requests in. And this is a video about Ben Stokes, if I can find it, for crying out loud, from zero to hero. Oh, sounds like my life story. Featuring Ben Stokes. It's a short film. It's only 6 minutes long. Best motivational video ever from a cricket channel called CrickBees Official. All right, so we're going to go ahead and check this out. We're going to see what it's all about. We've seen the trailer for the Ben Stokes documentary, which we haven't seen yet. We've seen Ben Stokes ever since the very first game that he's live streamed. My first game live streamed. He's been a big part of CFA, and we're excited to check this out and see what it's all about. And maybe some of these moments are moments that we've seen before. Live.
It's a possibility. But before we get into the video, please don't forget to smash that like button. Subscribe. Even if you don't like what he says, just leave a comment. I heard even bad comments help. Leave a comment, you know what I mean? Listen, sometimes that's the only way I get interaction in my classroom too. I'm like, guys, it's not a dictatorship. If you disagree, disagree. Just say something. You ever been there, right, when you're teaching a class and it's like cricket
is a dictatorship.
It's like like, are you guys alive? Are you guys alive? Even if you disagree, say something. All right? Like I just hate it when it's absolute silence.
That's just a telltale sign that you're boring.
Hashtag boring reviews. Yes. Oh, little shameless plug there. Sorry I did that.
Dude, I gave you a layup. Absolutely. I gave you the alley-oop.
And I dunked it.
Here we go.
Oh, exactly.
Dunked it indeed.
April 3rd, 2016.
April 3rd. Definitely did not see this one live. West Indies?
Why? Every time. Eating God. 1906.
That's never a good sign.
We've
seen this before.
Oh, West Indies, that helps.
And the next one.
Oh, big shot. Huge shot. Where's it gone? Into the stands.
Bye.
And the next one.
Oh, it's in the air again.
The other direction.
Oh, remember the name.
Sixes.
Ooh.
And that's his 18 goal.
And the next one.
Carlos Brathwaite.
He knew it after he hit it. That's just
Remember
disgusting.
the name.
Remember the
The
name.
announcer's on fire. That's tough. That's tough.
People started
Well,
throwing
something
him
like that.
in. social media. Come on, you know they did.
Is there a future for you in cricket?
Wow, you got other plans? That's
What
a
a
savage
jerk.
reporter.
As he got it in the gap. He's turned and gone, he's going. It's going to be 100 for Ben Stokes.
Oh, test.
Oh, out.
As it carried. Coming overs.
Oh, man.
Oh,
Jeez.
that hurt my stomach.
This was just a trailer. Headingley. The day that Australians never want to relive. Ever. Drop the ashes.
Hazelwood.
Brutalize that ball.
That is unbelievable.
Jack leaches his partner with a 0. Don't even think about getting to the crease.
Oh, Stokesy.
Oh. That was dangerous, and it got that one kind of carry. That one crushed.
Crushed that. One run needed, and that sort of, ooh, gosh.
Yeah, it's a classic celebration for sure.
Chills, bro. And I'm an Aussie fan, but that gives chills.
Yeah, it was amazing. I remember watching that in the first season of the Test. Oh, the World Cup, baby! Stokesy! Completely unintentional.
15 from 6.
New Zealand fans, look away!
No. No.
He is so feeling it. Boundaries are so important. On the money, but it's out of the ground, is it? Is it out of the ground?
The controversial boundary.
Goes again. This is a big moment. They've got to run. They go to the other end. Oh, he gets in the way. This is going to
gets
go all the way to
away.
the boundary off the bat. Can you believe that?
Not me.
Decisive super over. And people don't realize it did still go to a super over.
Super over. I've got to go quick. I've got to go quick. Out. I'm sure he's out. We're going to super.
Elbow at the keyboard.
That's some passion there by the
This is
announcer.
the moment. It's Archer to Guptill. 2 to win. Guptill's going to push for 2. They've got to go. It's got to throw. It's got to go to the keeper's end.
Yeah.
And you've won
Dumb
the World
rule.
Cup by the barest of margins.
Even that,
By the
yeah,
barest
they
of
had more
margins.
boundaries. That's one of the dumbest rules ever.
Ecstasy for England.
What a way to
Yeah,
end the game.
we'll talk about that in a
Truly
second.
So New
remarkable
Zealand just got
scenes.
crushed 3 different ways in this match. But
Yeah, thrice.
ICC World Cup champions, England!
I could be wrong, but that was their first ever, right?
I believe so. Yep, he's the captain of the England team.
Absolutely.
Oh, go back to that quote. I'm gonna read that real quick. It's the same with success and failure. There's always momentum. It's always a momentum thing, but you just have to put whatever happened in the past behind you. Interesting.
Absolutely.
Man, so many thoughts on this. I think the first thing, it's funny because obviously I rock with the Aussies, right? And I'm a West Indies fan. But I like to see any athlete who has failed to have that moment of vindication when they succeed. And part of the reason is because my own kids are athletes. So I've been a part, and I was an athlete when I was younger, a failure. But I think that it really, when you see that person fail and then eventually succeed, get through adversity, it's a part of the human experience that, you know, there's no progress without struggle. You got to struggle in order to succeed. You got to fail.
Sunshine and roses.
And if you work hard enough and you're just consistent enough, eventually those dark moments are going to pass. You know what I mean? Now, for some athletes, I know it feels like it's never going to pass. You know, for some athletes and just in general, you know what I mean? I always like to use the correlation between sports and life for my students. Like, guys, I know that it seems dark, whatever may be going on, but this too shall pass. And that's one of the things I talk to my own kids about, like, this too shall pass. Never get too high, never get too low, because it's just a moment in time, you know what I mean? And your life is a series of moments, you know what I mean? Good or bad, whether you're on the cricket pitch, or you're in the classroom taking a test, or you're, you know, on the football field, the gridiron, whatever. And that's how come, to me, it's so, even though I'm a fan of teams, it's so hard for me to ever root against an individual player. I'll root against teams, but I never root against individual players, because I know the sacrifice that they've put forth to get there. And just that at some point should be rewarded, because it inspires us all to continue to work.
Absolutely. I like what you said, that you can't root against players. I hate the Kansas City Chiefs in the NFL, but I love Patrick Mahomes. How can you not? I mean, this guy willed his team to a championship and hounded it like a man afterwards, too, instead of rubbing it in. We can talk about that forever. The thing that's so interesting, and I'm going to take it to now a negative thing. You've mentioned it so many times, but this is, with this video is where I really started thinking about how unfortunate, and I'm not going to say robbed, because England won the World Cup based on the rules that were there.
Right.
If there's anyone that robbed New Zealand, it were the rules. It was the ICC once again.
Terrible. Yeah.
To where we're going to have one super over. And because any more cricket after that would just be too much.
Oh, God forbid.
People won't care. It'd be too boring. It would ruin the stay in the game. Let's just see, I don't know, who has the most boundaries, they'll win the game.
Right.
And in this situation, you had an ODI championship match. Go all 50 overs, that wasn't enough.
Right.
Go to the 51st over. And it was not enough. It could have kept, you're talking about one of the greatest championships of all time, where both teams are giving everything they have to see how far can we go. And I've never thought of it in that way. And everyone that's complained about it, you're absolutely right. Again, you can't take anything away against England, because they played by the rules and they were fortunate. Ben Stokes thing, I still don't think it was on purpose, but we could have that argument all day long.
Right.
But the truth of the matter is, it didn't need to end that way, right? But going back to Ben Stokes, bringing it back to the positive, I just had to say that. Bringing it back to the positive, I love how this started off with a failure he had in a big spot. And then he was able, I mean, that Headingley thing, that's one, like you said, Chills, that's one of the greatest individual performances you're ever going to see on the cricket pitch. Where it matters, where it means something, it's the Ashes, it's all of these different things. And he was able just to let loose all that emotion when he got that winning. I mean, the job for him was not, you saw him when he celebrated on his century. It was like, attaboy. The job was not done yet until he was able to get that. And they had 1 wicket left. Jack Leach, you got to survive. Just don't swing at anything. Don't lose your wicket. I got this. I want to know how much Jack Leach ended up with in that match. I don't know if he had any runs, because it was Ben Stokes and it was 1 wicket the entire time.
Insane stuff. You know, kind of to piggyback on your comment about the New Zealand England World Cup, right? It's that the fans were robbed, and you possibly robbed. It could have got. Imagine if it had gone to another overtime, or not overtime. I'm thinking about American sports here, but if it had gone
to overtime period,
if it had gone to another super over and then another, let them. You never want to feel like you were robbed as an athlete. If I lose, I lose.
It's a championship match.
But
why
don't
is there a timeout?
take it. There shouldn't be. And that's just poor, in my opinion, poor foresight from those people who run and are quote unquote ambassadors of the game. They've never probably played, because to them it's like, they don't realize there's a difference between being handed a championship and winning one. And the way you rob the fans of that experience, it's to me one of the qualifiers, in my opinion, if you're going to be an ambassador of the game, if you're going to be sitting on that board, you should have played. At some point, at some level, you should have played or coached so that you could know the real stakes and not just look at this as like, we got to get off of television by 9:30 because Days of Our Lives are on and we can't be in that time slot.
92 World Cup, anybody?
Really? Stop.
One of the most, like, honestly, it's going to sound silly, but one of the defining moments of my fatherhood life was right when I was a brand new father. My son Jackson was born, and you're in the hospital for 1 or 2 nights, right? And so I'm holding my brand new baby boy, maybe only about 6, 7 years old, and it was March Madness. He was born in March. Right. And I can't remember the teams exactly who they were, but it was 6 overtime match. Right. And I think it was a championship for their conference who was going to go as that easy bid. And it was the most fantastic. I wasn't even a college basketball fan at the time, but I'm holding him the whole time. He's asleep, and I'm watching 6 overtimes before they decided a winner. Yeah. Could you imagine them just in after the first one? Now LSU has the most 3-pointers or some nonsense, the most free throws. And it was such an experience for me as a fan. It's something I'll never forget because my son was barely born. Right. It was a fantastic experience, and it's something I'll never forget about. That's what this could have been.
It could have been. It absolutely could have been. And, I agree with you. That's how come that specifically bothers me. I agree. I also don't think he did it intentionally. It is what it is. But going back to Ben Stokes, and I can't wait to watch his documentary. The guy has struggled with personal issues, with life, with mental illness, with a whole bunch of stuff, right? And one of the things is that he's open about it. He talks about it, which I think is important because not enough people talk about it. You know what I mean? And another thing is look, you can get through that. You can get through the darkness, but you got to be first and foremost willing to admit it's there. And athletes are under an enormous amount of pressure. And we at CFA, we'll live stream games, we'll get on people, whatever. That's in the moment. They talk about trolling, that he was trolled by the media. That was savage.
Our stuff.
You got plans for your career after this? What else are you going to do? What do you mean do I got, could you imagine that coming at him?
That guy.
I couldn't imagine. I was shocked he even hit him with that question, right? But as an athlete, you're always worried about somebody taking your spot. That's just reality because somebody is always waiting in the wings. So that's in the back of your mind, right? But sometimes we're unrealistic because if you think about it, we expect these athletes to perform every single time. No mistakes, no deviation, no bad days, no flaws, ever. I mean, think about it. Who could live up to that? Who could live up to that? You can't come in one day. You can't come in sick. You can't have a bad game. You can't be injured. You're supposed to be the pinnacle of perfection. And then people are like, well, then, maybe they shouldn't play if they're hurting it out to it. You could lose your spot and never get back. You know what I mean? So you're going to stay in there as much as you can. And again, I know that from my own son who's playing college ball and he's fighting for every snap he gets. And it's like, listen, I'm hurt or not, I'm out there. There's a difference between being hurt and being injured. If I'm injured and can't play, it's legit. But if I'm hurt, everybody's hurt out there. And they play hurt because I don't want to sit because somebody can come and take my spot. That's just the reality about it. And again, for all his greatness, look at all those moments, right? I guarantee you the media, especially then, like you said, the media and even fans were they forgot about everything else positive he had done. But he had that one day, which all of us will have. We'll all be off one day. Think about your own profession, whatever you do. School teachers, doctors, lawyers, police officers, cricket umpires, more than a few. More than a few. All umpires and referees have more than a few days off. But at least our mistakes aren't on the biggest stage. At least our bad days aren't, their flaws, their mistakes are on the biggest stage. Yeah. He lost a championship there. Could you imagine how that crushed him? And then for that reporter to give that smug, bro, he controlled himself. I would have been suspended for something else because it would have been so.
I am a little curious if he really did ask that question because we didn't hear it. We just saw the subtitle there. I'm not sure if that was just added for drama in this video. Okay. Let us know if he actually said that because that is absolutely disrespectful. But we've done several videos on Ben Stokes. We got a lot of viewers that love Ben Stokes that requesting it. We appreciate you requesting these videos. We appreciate Nusha for being a Patreon. Please don't forget to like and subscribe if you like this video. And until next time.
That's 6 runs.